कृष्ण कर्ण सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी पुष्पानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे welcome Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. What is the name of the chapter? Where are you all? You can't turn your cameras on. So tomorrow if I see you in the temple, I don't know who's who. Okay, what is the name of the chapter? Am I audible?
Vibhuti Yoga, Mataji.
Vibhuti Yoga. Prabhupada writes a chapter as the opulence of the absolute. So this prayer obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda before we proceed. And we studied this, that Krishna explained Krishna's position as the origin of everything. Krishna establishes that how we discussed that Krishna, what makes Krishna choose to speak about himself? Why can't someone else talk about his opulences? Huh? So the conclusion was what? What makes Krishna speak about himself? Why Narad Muni or Vyasdev or someone else can come and talk about him? What was the reason?
Because even demigods don't know about Krishna, so only Krishna can speak about himself. And he's speaking, is saying all this to his very intimate associate, Arjuna, so that, he can, because he's non-envious, sharing all this with him. And this is for all of us. Yeah.
Very nice. So it looks like Kirti Mataji is sitting in Bangalore. Hare Krishna. So because Krishna is not completely understood by anybody. And if we really want to understand Krishna, then Krishna has taken this mercy upon us to explain about himself to us for our benefit. Okay, so today we're going to focus on Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which is verse 8, 9, 10, and 11. But before I explain Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita and we go and dive in, I want to explain and ask a question. Now, if you have attended a previous class, then don't answer this, but let's make it a puzzle for others. So before we go there, I thought this will be nice exercise to establish the meaning. Krishna says, Samo aham in 9th chapter, verse 29, Sarva bhuteshu name dveshu asti na priyaha. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maiteshu cha api aham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. So basically, the question I want to bring up is Krishna is saying, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. Right? When he's saying I'm equal to all, then how is he saying that I am a friend to this person who is rendering devotional service to me? How do you bridge the gap? So if you have heard the answer before from me, then don't speak. If you're not, then you speak your realization. Go ahead, Mataji. Somebody's trying to
I was not there in the class. Krishna becomes purchased. You can purchase Krishna only with love. So when he is actually interacting with his very close devotees who are completely surrendered to him, there is no business. There's just love over there. So he becomes a very close friend to such a person.
अरे मगर close friend कैसे हो गया ना, because he is equal to everyone, is partial to no one, then that means he have equal relationship.
Yeah, he's not partial to anyone in the sense he was, even Duryodhana had all the facilities that Arjuna had. Like, Duryodhana was living in such a big mansion and he had everything. So there was water, air, sun, everything is given to everybody. Like Krishna doesn't, he provides everything to everyone. At the same time, the one who shows him love, he reciprocates in the same way. It's like how much the degree of surrender is what makes him.
So you're making him partial at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Very nice. Kirti Mataji, yes.
I was there in your class, Mataji, so maybe if anybody wants to
No,
say,
you're not gonna see them.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Rupa Mataji, thank you. It was a very nice realization and reflection that you shared. But on Sunday, I went to see Swam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj. Okay, and then he was asked this question in one of the sessions. So I'm telling you what he answered. He said that I don't know if this was Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Baldev Vidyabhushan, one of the two. The commentary is the first two lines, Samo aham sarvabhuteshu name dveshu asti na priyaha. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. This explains the Paramatma feature of Krishna. Yeah, the Paramatma which is present in everyone's heart equally. It's there. But the second part, there is a kind of partiality here going on. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu cha apiham. But, this is but. Whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. Explains the Bhagwan feature of Krishna. Okay, so in Bhagwan feature of Krishna, we have so many rasas, right? Paramatma feature, we don't study about any rasas, do we? Do we study about Paramatma has this ras, that ras? Is equal to everyone, right? Anumanta, Ascha, Upadishta. Yes or no? Are
Yes, Mataji, yes.
not me speaking. But the Bhagwan feature has rasas, different kinds of mellows, different relationships. The second part explains the Bhagwan feature. Make sense? Rupa Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, I'll make a note.
I also learned a lot. So in that way, we have to understand this Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, because Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita is nothing short of pure devotional service, which is to Bhagwan feature of Krishna. Okay, that is not, he's saying that because if you study the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, as I will bring up now, there is mention again and again, my pure devotee, transcendental devotional service is I destroy that knowledge. So it may appear that there is a controversy from 9.29 and 10.8, 9, 10, and 11. But this is how our acharyas help us to build this gap. Okay, so understand it from that context. So Krishna speaks about Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Now, this is a summary. One who is factually convinced of Krishna's opulence and power engages in his devotional service, and Krishna guides such a loving devotee to come to him. So, is it that we have to understand Krishna's powers to love him? Or can we love him even without knowing Krishna's powers? So, we'll understand. Okay, so Sambandha Gyan, Abhideh Gyan, and Prayojan Gyan. So, Sambandha means establishing the relation. So, at the end of the 4 verses, you are going to tell me which verse is Sambandha Gyan, which is Abhideh Gyan, which is Prayojan Gyan. Okay, I'm not going to say, I'm just going to explain. And if you don't say, then I'll not say. Okay, knowledge is Sambandha Gyan, knowledge is knowledge. Okay, Krishna is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from him. This is Sambandha Gyan. Abhideh Gyan, practical application. The wise who know this are constantly devoted to serving him with love. Because he's the source, so we have to serve. We have to serve our master, so why not serve the Supreme Master? Prayojan is goal. Krishna gives the understanding by which they can come to him. Because serving Krishna generates love for Krishna. When we serve anybody in this material world, we get frustrated and tired most of the cases, right? It's not that, okay, I'm like falling in love with this person more and more. Yeah, that happens in the case of parent and children up to a certain point, but not for forever, right? But with Krishna, the more we serve, the more we become attached. And then the more we become attached, the more Krishna acts so that we can, come to him. So basically the service is, I visualize it, service is like a rope. Service is like a rope. And if we go on strengthening that rope, then Krishna is at the other end and he's pulling us. Okay, so Krishna begins this by this verse. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I think you're supposed to memorize these verses, right? Huh? All of them? Is it all of them?
No, Mataji.
Only 10.8? How many?
10.8 and I think 10.10. I'm not sure.
Okay, so we'll look at it later. Thank you. So I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. So Vidyabhushan, Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada explains that this particular verse, in this particular verse, Krishna is describing his own nature. Okay, in first line, like Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, in that line, he's describing his nature, that he's a proprietor, which actually generates and nourishes that bhakti in the heart of a devotee. So it's not that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, and Prabhupada in the purport gives a lot of references as to how Krishna is actually indeed the proprietor of everything which is spiritual and everything that is material. So what is the result? The result is that one who understands actually iti matva bhajante mam. One who understands matva, iti matva, understands what this. What is this? That I am the source of everything which is material and spiritual. Bhajante mam. They actually start worshipping me. Right? They worship me. How do they worship me? Buddha bhava samanvitaha. Bhava means what? Bhava means what? Bhavagrahi Janardhan. Bhava means what? What does it mean? The word
Devotion.
bhav. Bhav,
Devotion.
simplest language. Well, bhajante is devotion here. Bhava in the simplest language means feeling. The feeling. Right? So Buddha means intelligent or learned. Samanvitaha means with great attention. So iti matva bhajante mam Buddha bhava samanvitaha means that the intelligent who understands, worships me with a lot of feeling and great attention. It's not a superficial ritual anymore that, okay, this is one of the chores in the day that I have to chant Hare Krishna. Sorry. I'm just going to turn off my phone. I have to worship Krishna as a ritual or as a daily chore. No, there's a lot of feeling attached with all their hearts. The heart is a place where we have all the feelings, right? Even though mechanically it appears that the limbic system is the brain from where it is coming, but heart is the place, because in a person who Krishna himself says that the soul is the source of all the feelings. So Krishna is the original source of all spiritual and material world. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. The result of knowing this is worship Krishna with all their heart, engage in devotional service, and surrender. Okay, and now we are supposed to know the references that Prabhupada gives in terms of how Krishna is actually indeed the source of all material and spiritual world. But remember that Vidyabhushan Prabhupada in this particular purport gives a commentary that in the first line, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Krishna is describing his own nature, which generates and nourishes the bhakti. Okay, so this is what do you think this is? Sambandha, Vidya, or Prayojan?
I think it's Sambandha, Mataji.
Sambandha.
How?
Because it explains about the knowledge, basically. So, knowledge about Krishna.
So, okay,
Because
let's finish all the verses and then come back to this. Okay, so then mat chitta, mat gatah prana, bodhayanta parasparam, kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Okay, so mat chitta mat gata prana. This particular verse describes the process of bhakti. That mat chitta, okay, we'll go, what is happening is that devotees are absorbed in remembering me, mat chitta. Mad gata prana. In the purport of this particular verse, Prabhupada is mentioning two analogies. One analogy is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes in Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Leela how the seed of devotional service. This particular verse is compared to seed of devotional service, which is sowed and is watered by. What is the seed of devotional service getting watered by? Everyone should speak. Ambika Mataji, what is the seed of devotional service getting watered by?
Chanting of the holy name, Mataji.
Yeah, hearing and chanting. Very nice. So this particular verse describes the process of bhakti. So mat chitta means remembering. And then mad gata prana means they cannot, their lives are surrendered to me. They cannot live without me. Life is surrendered. You know, like Prabhupada gives analogy of, what does he give analogy of to explain this? A fish out of the water. A fish cannot live without water, cannot. And you can provide it a very nice food, very nice bed, very nice vacation spot. But if there is, it cannot, it's not in the water, it's dead. It's gonna die. It's not, because it doesn't matter what it is. So Madgata Prana means that such a devotee cannot maintain their life without me, just as a fish cannot live without water. And then what do? Kathayantascha mam bodhayantas parasparam. Bodhayanta parasparam means that they reveal to each other my form, my qualities, and my activities, my beauty. Okay, bodhayanta parasparam. They're talking to each other, like we are talking to each other, but they're talking to each other. You know, we talk to each other to maintain our life, right? And we maintain our life by entertaining our mind, because that's how we are recognizing ourselves in the material world. The content of the talk is to maintain the life. Do we ever talk about with our friends, relatives, neighbors on daily basis? Oh, I am, one day I can't wait to die and my photograph be hanging on this wall. Do you ever talk like this? Yeah, ever?
No, Mataji.
But we talk like this. Okay, what do I cook today? Okay, I need to rest to rejuvenate my energy. Okay, what is happening in that person's, like what are we talking in the regular talk? Do we talk like this? Okay, when are you coming to see me? Okay, when am I come? Or when can I come to see you? Right? There is always like this planning going on. Or when is this class going to get over so I can get on with my life? Right? So we always talk about life. We don't understand because we are supposed to live forever. So, but the devotees of Krishna, because their life is surrendered to Krishna, they only talk about Krishna with each other. Okay, they talk about Krishna because that's their life. And what do they talk? They talk about Krishna's form, qualities, beauty. And then Kathayantascha mam nityam. It's not that, okay, they talk about one Sunday afternoon, 3 to 4 p.m. on, and then, okay, bye-bye. Okay. No, it says nityam. The katha is going on nityam, always. And then what happens? You see, when we talk to each other in daily lives, what time is the school, what is the homework, when are you coming back, what is the schedule, did you sleep, did you eat, did you do this? We are looking for answers that satisfy us. Are we looking for answers that like dissatisfy us? Let's say you ask me, when are you coming? And I say, never. I never want to come. Is it a very satisfying answer?
No.
Is that what you were looking for? Or when you ask me, if I ask you, when are you coming? And you say, I don't want to come to you at all. So is that what I'm looking for? Tell me.
No, Mataji.
So when they talk about Krishna, Nityam, and the katha is going on Nityam with each other because Krishna is their life and soul. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti means it's very satisfied, and ramanti, very happy. very satisfied and very happy. Krishna Katha, and is so satisfied as if they're drinking the nectar. And there's a third analogy. And Ramanti, the word Ramanti analogy is given as if the young boy is taking pleasure looking at the smiling face of a young girl. This is Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada explaining, and not Prem Kishore explaining. This is their reference. So the analogies are given in each and every line to explain. Mat chitta mat gata prana. The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. We can say now Krishna is not partial to anyone, but here he's saying that the thoughts of pure devotees are dwelling in me, which we can say that the thoughts of non-devotees are not dwelling in him. Well, because it is Bhagwan feature of Krishna. This is the full expression of rasa with the devotee. Okay, impartiality is seen in the Paramatma feature. Krishna has different rasas, which is not really a partiality in the sense, but it is like, what do you want to exchange? Like, we can be a very good person to everyone, in the sense not wishing ill for anyone, but we still have, when it comes to revealing ourselves, we just don't go around with a placard in our hand and reveal ourselves to everyone. We take intelligence, right? Where is it coming from? Bhagwan feature of Krishna. Okay, so I'll explain one more time that Madgata Prana means that the life and soul, the life is surrendered. And the analogy which is explained is the fish out of water. They cannot live. So devotees cannot live. Bodhayantas paras param kathiyantas cha nityamam nityam. And because their life is given to Krishna, they're surrendered to Krishna, their talk, their speech, their mind, their heart is filled with Krishna. We do the same thing, but because we are not filled with Krishna, at least I'm not filled with Krishna, the talk takes different up tunes and down tunes, right? Different tunes are there. So if you are, in the association of devotees who are of the people who have no interest in your Krishna conscious side of life, then it takes a lot of effort to generate a talk with them. The talks are very superficial. It's not coming from the heart. But here it is coming from the heart. Because Krishna is their life and they get life by talking about Krishna. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They're so satisfied as if they're drinking a nectar. Ramanti cha. And they're so happy. Very happy. How? Like a young boy is looking at the smiling face of a young girl and feeling very happy. Okay, so and then this particular verse describes the process of bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that this verse, Prabhupada explains in the purport, is like sowing the seed of bhakti in the heart of a devotee. And whoever has gotten that seed of bhakti in their heart is the most fortunate person in the entire creation, which is said by Krishna himself, right? Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yadamapi siddhanam kaschit mam veti tatvataha. So very, very rare person. Now the question can be, okay, let me play this video because this is so nice, even though you might have seen it 1 million times already. Let's look at it 1 million one.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Prabhupada also mentions in the verse that in the initial
Hare
stage of bhakti, the transcendental service itself, right? The transcendental service in preliminary stage, the transcendental service itself gives the feeling of relish, or the relish, the devotion service by the service itself. But in the advanced stage of bhakti, when the heart is saturated with the love of the God, one actually becomes situated in prema bhakti. Okay, so initially we need service because that's how we are going to relish the taste of devotional service. We cannot say that I'm not going to do anything for Krishna, but I'm still going to be becoming a lover of Krishna. That's not how it's going to work. It's like saying that I'm not going to move an inch to get a glass of water and my thirst will be quenched. It's not going to happen. If you can say, okay, my kid is going to bring me the glasses. Somebody has to do it, right? So here now, and also the importance of having guru is explained in this verse. So symptoms of a pure devotee, Krishna becomes his life and soul, and he constantly hears about it and discusses Krishna. 2 stages of devotional service. Preliminary stage, which is called Raga Bhakti. Right? They relish the transcendental pleasure from service itself. In the mature state, they are always situated in love of God and thus relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. So basically, they're secure. We are secure in either stages, preliminary or mature. It is just a question of, becoming saturated with love or having like 1 for Krishna, 2 for me, some for Krishna, more for me. Okay, but when Krishna is there in both the stages, it depends on how much. So thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. We discussed this, that this is explaining the process of bhakti. Krishna is also thinking about a pure devotee. Life is fully devoted to my service. We discussed that mat gata prana, like the fish out of the water. They derive great satisfaction and bliss always conversing about me, which is like the young boy deriving pleasure by looking at the smiling face of a young girl. Okay. Tesham satata yukta nam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadavi buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So the Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada raises a question between verse 9 and verse 10 in the commentary of verse 10. We say that bodhayantascha parasparam kathiyanti cha kathiyanti nityam. What is the verse? Sorry, kathiyantascha chamam nityam. Now, so basically, we are able to get all this knowledge from the lotus mouth of a spiritual master. So Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada raises the question, but how is it possible for them to realize you as being endowed with infinite form, qualities, and powers just through the teachings of a guru? How is it possible? So now Krishna answers to those who are constantly devoted. Okay, the punchline is constant. Tesham. Tesham means to those. Now, to those means which devotee, not the Sannishtha devotee. What is a Sannishtha devotee? Sannishtha devotee is a devotee who was engaged in Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Sannishtha, like there's some sort of desire, some sort of desire, but they're engaged in Krishna consciousness, but they also have this. So Tesham, to those means that devotee which is pure devotee, which has no other desire left. Satata Yukta Nam. So Satata Yukta Nam means what? Satayuktana means what?
Always
engaged.
engaged.
Yeah. So those who are constantly, always, always engaged. Bhajatam, engaged in what? Bhajan, or talking about Krishna. How? Priti Purvakam. Priti Purvakam means what?
With love.
Yeah, well, we can go on talking ill about someone, or Kansa was also Bhajatam Krishna, Satatam, but it was not Priti Purvakam. So thinking of Krishna by Kans is not considered a devotional service because it was not Priti Purvakam. He was thinking always, he was actually thinking about Krishna, poor guy, couldn't even sleep, They were thinking of Krishna all the time. But that thought could never become a pure devotional service according to the acharyas because it was not Priti Purvakam. So we have to be very careful as to how I'm thinking of Krishna. And if I'm not thinking of Krishna with love, then and if I want to love Krishna, then I have to go back to step prior, that am I engaging in transcendental devotional service? Am I discussing and hearing about Krishna? Am I serving actively in some way? Okay, what happens to those devotees? Dadami buddhi yogam tam. So dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So it's not that sometimes the Mayavadis say that they discriminate, right? Mayavadis discriminate that somebody who is very knowledgeable in the Vedic knowledge is the one who can understand. Remember in Prabodhananda Saraswati pastime in Chaitanya Chaitamrita, when Prabodhananda Saraswati approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said that you have taken sannyas in our cult, right? Keshav Bharti, he took sannyas from Keshav Bharti, who was a Mayavadi sannyasi. So that you have taken sannyas from our cult, but you're just simply chanting and dancing. It does not look good. You need to sit down and study Vedic knowledge. So Prayavadis are partial in the sense that they think that one needs to have knowledge first, right? But Krishna is refuting it completely because he is giving importance to the loving devotional service. Okay, he's saying, okay, and Prabhupada mentions that even if somebody doesn't have a complete knowledge, then Krishna is taking the guarantee. I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Okay, this is a very reassuring statement given by Krishna to a devotee who's trying to go to Krishna. How is it possible, to understand Srimad Bhagavatam or understand Bhagavad Gita or understand so many unlimited forms of Krishna by a person who is so disturbed and embarrassed by material life? Because Kunti Maharani says, right, that Namo Akinchana Vittaya Nivritta Gunavittaye Atma Ramaya Shantaya Kevalya Pataye Namaha. Right? She says that Namo Akinchana Vittaya. Akinchana Vittaya means one who has nothing to do anything with this material world. And Namo Akinchana Vittaya Nivritta Gunavittaye Atma Ramaya Shantaya Kevalya Pataye Namaha. Krishna, you are Atma Ram. You are self-satisfied. Krishna is Atma Ram, right? Now, this pastime, right? Explaining Krishna's Atmaram feature, because we always see Krishna with someone else. We always see Krishna with devotees, or if no devotees, then his garland, his jewelry, his flute, right? So how do you say he's always with someone else? How do you say he's Atmaram? Because there's always someone giving pleasure to him. So it's this pastime that when Krishna was in the palace, and the palace pillars were made of very, very like fine marble, like a mirror, embellished with a lot of jewels. So Krishna was just passing, like how we pass, and then he just saw his reflection on the pillar, and he got attracted by that reflection. Oh my God, who is this so beautiful? So he doesn't need anyone else to be happy, or he's happy in himself. So when Kunti is saying that how is it possible for us to know you? You can only be known by somebody who is akinchana vittaya, nothing else. There is no other material desire left. So if she is such an exalted devotee saying like this, then how can a person who is embarrassed by material living in day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis understand the supreme personality of Godhead, who is not even touched by these material things? So Krishna is taking guarantee, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So it's a very beautiful relationship. Okay. In the material world, if we don't understand somebody, then the relationship becomes very strained. They're always thinking that, oh my God, I'm not understood. I'm not understood in this particular household. Nobody understands me in family, especially children growing up in their teenage. They say that all the time. You don't understand me, mom. Right? So, so it is, okay, help me understand you. So a good parent will say, okay, help me understand you. But this can frustrate the parents, right? But Krishna never gets frustrated. He says, okay, I give the understanding by which you can come to me. So okay, so understand, Tesham means what? Them. Who is them? The pure devotee. What are they doing? A pure devotee is doing what? What is the activity? Satatam yuktanam. With great attachment, bhajatam priti purvakam. They are thinking about Krishna, devoted with love and devotion to that particular person. Tadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayantite. So this is refuting the Mayavadi's version that you need knowledge first and never bhakti. They don't come to bhakti at all. The knowledge first to understand the absolute truth. But Krishna is saying love first, service first. So how do we understand Krishna? The Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada raises the question, right? That how just by hearing from Guru one becomes one can understand your glories, your beauty, your opulences. Says because by listening to the words of Guru, they are devoted and worship me with love. And because of that, I help them. Okay, so karma, so Tesha means a devotee who doesn't have anything else. So what doesn't have karma yoga? When one knows that the goal is Krishna but is addicted to fruits, Jnana yoga. When one knows the goal is Krishna but takes pleasure in mental speculation to understand Krishna, but only buddhi yoga. What is buddhi yoga or bhakti yoga? Which is when knows the goal and seeks completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service. He's acting in buddhi yoga or bhakti yoga, the complete yoga, the highest perfectional stage. So tesham evanukam partham aham agyana jam tamaha nashyami atma bhavastho jnana deepena bhashvataha. So out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Again, this verse is starting with Tesham. You see, this verse also started with Tesham, right? 10 and 11th verse is also starting with Tesham. So we're continuing the same conversation about those devotees who are not in Buddhi Yoga, not in Jnana Yoga, not in Ashtanga Yoga, but only in Buddhi Yoga. So what is Krishna saying? So Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada expressed, since they have been existing in the darkness of ignorance for such a long time, how is it possible that you can illuminate their hearts? So Krishna said, no, that Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. I give the knowledge by which they can come to me. But then he's raising a question in the commentary that there is so much ignorance. How can you do this? How? I want to know how. It's not a challenging mode. It's more of like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, because I want to hear more, like that. So here, Tesham Evanukam Partham. So Evanukam Partham means what? So my unalloyed devotees, worthy of my mercy. Evanukam Partham. Anukam Partham means mercy. Okay, so because they are worthy of my mercy. How is the question is how is the knowledge been given and they're able to give? So because they're object of my mercy. Aham, I. Okay, situated with attachment to Atma Bhavastha. So, aham atma bhavastha. What does atma bhavastha means? Tell me from the word meaning of your book or wherever you are. What does atma bhavastha mean?
Situated within their
within
hearts.
their hearts.
Yeah, so I, because the object of my mercy is situated in their heart. Okay, what do I do? Agyana jam tamaha. Agyana jam tamaha means what?
Remove the darkness.
Yes, so remove. And what is the darkness? What darkness is he talking
The
about?
ignorance.
What
Yes.
ignorance?
No knowledge of Krishna.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. So is that destroy the darkness in the form of desires for objects other than myself. So if we are desiring anything other than Krishna, we are in darkness. It means no knowledge. So I, situated in their heart, agyana jam tamaha, I remove that agyan. And then what do I do? By means of glowing lamp of knowledge, jnana deepena bhavastha. Okay, so this is one way of understanding this verse. And why do I do that? Because I'm satisfied with their devotional service. Like, for example, if somebody is helping you out without asking you any return, they're helping you out just because. We feel a sense of gratitude, right? We feel a sense of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. Is Srila Prabhupada asking us for any returns for his personal interest? Anytime you have felt that Prabhupada asked for his personal interest, so, I'll give you this knowledge, you give me a nice place to sleep on.
No,
Who's not?
Mataji.
Never,
So,
Mataji.
we feel gratitude, right? We feel a sense of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. So Krishna feels the same way to his devotees, that thank you for trying to serve me. You see, there's Lord Ram. This is Anvya Mataji's favorite story, which she always tells. When Lord Ram was trying to make the bridge to cross over Lanka, you see, he's Lord. He didn't have to do all this. He could have just thought, and Mother Sita would have been present. Or even he didn't have to do that also. The air was enough to bring her, right? So, but his devotees wanted to serve him. So he became kind of like obliged to take their service. So, but in the devotees, there was so much rasa going on, right? The monkeys were throwing all these stones, which were, they did not have a potency to make them float. But Lord Ram was helping them. Like Krishna says, I gave the help. So Lord Ram was helping them, was floating. And then there was this little squirrel who was throwing the little stones. And monkeys were kind of making fun of her, that how is this going to help? But Lord Ram clarified that her service, the squirrel service, is as important as your service. So because they were in ignorance that they are actually doing it. Right? So sometimes in Krishna consciousness, we have to be careful that we can say, okay, I have become superior now because I've been with the movement for how many years? I have been chanting Hare Krishna how many years? I have read scriptures how many times? I gave how many classes? How many courses have I designed? What do I eat? Do I drink coffee? You see, so these are all like ignorance. We are doing Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport of this particular verse that somebody might have a spiritual master. Somebody might be engaged in devotional service, but one can still be attracted to the material aspects of life. But Krishna, because of their sincerity of service, Krishna takes mercy. They become object of mercy for Krishna, and then he takes the charge of ignoring this tamaha, or ignorance, which is material desires, which is desiring anything other than Krishna, with the shining lamp of knowledge, jnana deepena bhavastha. So we are very secure, we are not alone. Did I tell you this in Vrindavan this time? So I had a very good fortune of meeting good devotees and then spend real time with them. Not like, okay, Hare Krishna, how are you? How are you? Just and sit down with them day after day. So one person asked this devotee that what do you talk about? What do you think about Kriya Yoga? You talk about Bhakti Yoga. What do you think about Kriya Yoga? So Srivrindavan Prabhu said that Kriya Yoga is like, you are like breathing in certain fashion where you are stimulating some chakras in your body so that you can purify yourself, right? This is what you're doing, Hana. That's fine. But the difference, and that's fine, you can continue to do it. I'm not defining whether you do it or you stop it, but understand the difference. And when we do anything other than bhakti, we are on our own. If I can do it properly, then it happens. If I cannot do it properly, then it doesn't happen. We don't get the result. But in Bhakti Yoga, we are always helped. There's always a help. There's always like a support system around us by all these Senapati Acharyas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead in my heart. So we have a lot of support. So because of the lot of support and mercy, the progress towards the goal of life is very quick. Prabhupada gives example of going at the top of a building by taking an elevator or by taking stairs. Both will get there, but taking the stairs depends on one's effort. But taking the elevator is like pre-programmed, right? So, so this particular verses give us a lot of hope. Please, I would say read them every day, because you'll feel so much nourishment in your Krishna consciousness and feel the loving hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your endeavors. We don't feel alone. Material world gives a feeling to a living entity of loneliness, invariably, even though one may be situated in a family or society, but when they are sitting on their own, very lonely, invariably. I asked this question to Vishashika Prabhu once. He's Prabhupada's disciple and he's like one of the biggest book distributor in the entire world. That how do you, go and knock on the doors of people in like San Francisco to distribute books, because I will be scared that I'm trespassing their property and they can do anything to me. So he laughed at me and he said, do you know how lonely these people are? When we go to their houses, what are they doing? They have a dog, they're drinking coffee, and then they have a TV on. And the houses are big, but they're so lonely. So when we go to give them Krishna, we are actually giving them life. Mat gata prana, I'm giving them life. So don't hesitate. So I got the point. Okay, so I will give the summary. So special mercy of the Lord. Lord destroys all the impediments and dispels any ignorance in the heart with a shining lamp of knowledge. So we finish here and I'll just give a summary that 10.8 Krishna is describing his opulence. He's describing his position as to he is a proprietor. Okay. And why is he doing it? Because it generates and nurtures the bhakti. That my Krishna is so nice. We want to love someone who is good, right? Even though it could be a conditional love, but we make good out of someone we love, whatever. I think it works both ways. Because I see all the time parents of children who are completely vegetative, completely. Can't even imagine. Like, dependent on ventilator to breathe, or dependent on, they have a hole in their stomach to feed. Blind, have seizures, they didn't even say a word, don't even recognize, but they look very neat and clean. They look very well combed, very well kept, very well, come to hospital when they're feeling sick, the parents bring. I've seen many times, and then that made me realize that when we love someone, we make the good out of them, and also we want to love someone who is good. So it works both ways, and we don't put conditions. ठीक है, यहाँ पे मत चित्ता मत गता प्राणा, understand each word and relish and taste it to the fullest. That mat chitta, he gives assurance that I am thinking of them. and life is dedicated to me. And understand the analogy word by word. Bodhayantas parasparam kathiyantas cha mam nityam. So they are constantly, because we are talking to derive life now. We are not talking to derive any kind of moroseness or sorrow or grief. Right? Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. And they're so satisfied and they're so happy. What are the analogies described in different aspects? And then Tesham Satata Yukta Nam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. So the question raised by Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada in 10th verses commentary is that how is it possible that just by hearing from the mouth of Guru and discussing, one is able to understand you? Says Tesham, what is the meaning of the word Tesham? Then Satata Yukta Nam Bhajatam is okay, but Priti Purvakam is the punchline. And then Krishna takes, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Now, the devotee is still not satisfied and still asks Krishna. Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada asks again in the commentary that, but the heart is filled with ignorance. You know, you give the understanding, but the heart is not ready for the understanding because it is filled with ignorance because of contamination for so many lifetimes. Then how is it going to happen? So then Krishna says, Tesham, continuing the same conversation, those devotees who are unalloyed, Evanukam Partham, they because of their sincere service become my object of mercy. Aham, so he explains Atma Bhavastha first, like I am situated in their heart. Aham Ajnana Jam Tamaha, I remove the ignorance from their heart, being situated in their heart. And what is that ignorance? The material desire or desiring anything other than Krishna. How does he remove? Jnana Deepena Bhavastha, or by the shining lamp of knowledge. So now here the commentaries, Mayavadis say that knowledge first. And I gave example where Prabhupada writes in the purport of Prabodhananda Saraswati. But Krishna says love and devotion first. You give me love, build a relation, I take charge. And then I discuss that how Bhakti Yoga is different from Ashtanga Yoga or this yoga or that yoga, which I learned from this devotee in Vrindavan last month. That we are on our own. But in Bhakti Yoga, we are not on our own. We are helped outside and inside all the way. And then we go, because material life is an embarrassing life. It's embarrassing for the soul, you know. One devotee once said that we are always competing to have more comfortable things in our life than the other people. But let's say that Vyasdev comes and looks at our life. What will he say? He'll feel very sorry. I'm so sorry that you're having this kind of competition in human form of life. So sorry. Or Vyasa Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj writes in his book, what does he write? Wealthy is not the one who have the most. Wealthy is the one who need the least. Okay, from our thing. Now you tell me which verse is Sambandha Gyan, which verse is Abhidhay Gyan, which verse is Prayojan Gyan. Okay, raise your hands. You can't ignore me, you know, you can't do this to me. I have a need for reciprocation. Everybody has to say. Yeah, you will speak last. Kirti Mataji. Sudarshan Rao Prabhu. Were you giving thumbs up, Andrea Mataji?
Oh, it's hands up by mistake.
Oh, I thought you were happy.
No, no.
You're not happy? Okay. Okay, Sudarshan Rao Prabhu. Maybe he's not able to unmute. Okay, go ahead, Kirti Mataji. I'm going to ask everyone.
Mataji, I'm not sure if I'm right. I think 10.8 was Sambandha Jnana, 10.9 and 10 was Avideya, and 11 was Prayojana. Because in 9 and 10, it was more about the process of how to reach attain Krishna. And 11 was like more of Prayojana is what I think, Mataji. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure
Okay,
if I'm
thank you.
correct.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
So Sambandha means establishing a relationship. Abhidaya means after we have established a relationship, what are the roles of
Activity.
activities and roles and responsibilities of people in that relationship. And Prayojan is why to do all this, why to establish a relationship and do a role division and activity after all. Okay, so very nice. Thank you, Mataji. So who is next in the list? Jaldi. I have to send kids to school.
Mataji, can I?
You are next anyway. Jaldi, then I give chance.
Okay.
Ambika Mataji, you're next.
First, Mataji, 10.8 is Sambandha Jnan. The first sentence, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mattaha Sarvam Pravartate. And second line, Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita is Abhideya. Like it tells the activity. What do the wise do? They engage in my devotional service and worship me. So it's a combination of both. It gives the Sambandha Jnana as well as the Abhideya
Okay,
or,
that is
or the
10.9.
activity. Yeah, the ninth one is purely the activity, that is the Abhideya, that the pure devotees, their lives are fully devoted to me. They derive great satisfaction by conversing about me. And this tells like activity is not only from one side, it is from Krishna's side also, because he says the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. So he's also thinking about the devotees.
Okay.
His pure
What is
devotees. So
10?
it's a both way traffic. It's just not one way. Okay, so this and the 10.9 again. 10.9 speaks about
So you said about
Abhideya.
10.9, 10.10 and 10.11 now,
I
right?
mean, yeah, sorry. 10.10, it speaks about Abhideya as well as the Prayojan, because he says that those who are constantly devoted to serving me, so it speaks about the activity, those who are constantly devoted to me. To them, I give them the understanding by which. So it's a combination of Abhideya and Prayojan. And then the last one, though of course it is Prayojan, it tells us that what we are going to get, we are going to get the knowledge. So it is the Prayojan.
We're going to get the
But
knowledge. I thought Bhakti
yeah,
was the
that
last
I
one.
dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp the darkness. So when darkness is removed, the devotee will get knowledge. So Krishna removes the darkness from their hearts.
So
So their progress is faster. So it is Prayojan as well as it is activity also, Abhideya, because Krishna is saying that I dwelling in the hearts destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So it's the activity from Krishna's side.
Okay, so this is your understanding or you have a source or reference?
No, it is my understanding.
Okay,
Because-
very nice analysis. Very nice analysis. I want to emphasize one thing.
Yeah.
Going to Krishna is always simple. It's not never difficult, okay? Because that's our natural inclination. Like downflow of a spring water is natural tendency. Right? Child coming to a mother is a natural tendency. So going to Krishna is natural. It will never get complex or philosophical. If it is, then we are not going to Krishna. We're going towards Gyan. Very nicely thought. I'm very impressed by your intellectual ability. The way we understand these verses is what is coming out of this most prominently.
Okay, then
what is coming out of this most prominently?
so then the first one would be Sambandha Jnana. The second one, 10.9 will be Abhideya. Even 10th will be the activity. So the 10th and the 11th will be Prayojan.
Very nice. Okay. That's it. Okay. That's it. Now don't analyze and don't do what is most coming. This is what we want also. No, okay, I said so many things, but can't you understand that I only want this? Right? For example, if I'm talking to you, I'm coming to India on this particular day. I am going to be I know you're in Delhi in this day. I'm gonna be there too. I'm going to be sitting in my house and not really doing much. But ultimately, what is it that I want? Come and see me, right? Let's see each other,
Yeah,
right? So, what is the
yeah,
most prominent thing
yes.
is this? The most prominent thing that Krishna is saying is understand your mind and your relationship. Understand that what is my role in here. You are dwelling in my heart and I'm dwelling in your heart. Understand. That's like the um, the activity after the sambandha is established, that we are really, really related, and that's how you I dwell in your heart, is when you do these things. Then what happens? Then I want you to come to me. I'm dwelling in your heart, you're talking about me, but I really want you to come to me. Then I do these efforts, and then you do these efforts. So most prominent पे एम्फेसिस डालते हैं, ठीक है, जब शास्त्र पढ़ते हैं. नहीं तो वैदिक लैंग्वेज जो होती है वो बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग होती है, इसलिए वी नीड अ गुरु टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट. वैदिक लैंग्वेज इज वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग. व्हाट डज इस उपनिषद मीन? व्हाट डज Upanishad literally mean? Upanishad literally means sitting near a guru. Okay. I think we stop here. I have to go.
Mataji, so 10.10 and 11 was Prayojana. Is that
Yes.
correct, Mataji?
Because the
Yes.
most prominent noise that Krishna is trying to make, or announcement that he's making, is that these are our this, come to me. I remove the impediments so you can come to me, right? But I'm very impressed by Anvaya Mataji's analysis as wow, this is amazing.
Mataji, all my Marathi class, they are, asking so many questions. So you think.
Yes, you think, but at the end, and remember, okay, because Prabhupada has taught us this again and again. Remember, going to Krishna is our natural tendency. It has to be easy, cannot be difficult. Living in material world is difficult, but we are so used to being difficult, we think everything is difficult. But it is not difficult. Okay, I am supposed to go to Krishna. I'm supposed to go there. Okay. Okay, so we can stop the live, Mataji. Thank you. Any questions? I hope.
Mataji, I have one question. It's not regarding this chapter,
Mataji,
but
you
the
can go offline.